Hey, what's up guys? It's your boy the Fice back at it with another video. But before we get this started, if it's your first time here, definitely be sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know what you guys think. Come join us on Discord. It's the best community ever. I love talking to you guys. Come follow us on Twitch. That's where we stream live. We stream live on YouTube as well. Also, just to let you guys know, we don't have YouTube monetization. So if you love the content and you want us to continue to do it, check out the YouTube description below. There is a Patreon link, and also there's an Etsy storefront. We have coffee mugs and t-shirts, and we've got more things on the way. So let's get into the content of what we are going to be talking about, guys. We are going to be talking about the advanced tile combinations you can do when playing this game. Now, I will do a separate guide on just basically the tile cards that you do get, how do you unlock them, all that good stuff. But this is going to be a video talking about what combinations you can do with tiles to actually unlock other type of cards or other type of behaviors while playing the game. Perfect example is combination of village and vampire mansion to create the upgraded village version. So I'm going to be talking about examples like that. You know, what happens if you put two battlefields together, what the combination happens there, so on and so forth. So let's get into this content, guys. I'm just going to go straight into it. I hope you guys appreciate it. And if you really respect and appreciate the content, hit that subscribe button. Let's get into it. All right, guys, so the first one we are going to be showing, or at least giving an idea of, is doing the Ransacked Village, which eventually becomes Countland, which is an upgraded version of the village. So all you have to do is you have to place a village. I tend to place them in the corners. That's just what I do because I basically like having the vampire area mitigated a little bit. I don't like using a full 3 because vampires can become very difficult later on, so I have the tendency of putting villages in the corner. But you can put them basically, like when you put them around here, what's going to happen is it's going to transform it into a ransacked village for 3 loops where zombies are going to infest it. The zombies have souls, so if you have Ancestral Crypt, which is a really good card, you'll be able to get more max HP every time you kill them, including the vampire. So as you saw that, it just became a ransacked village. So it's going to be like that for 3 loops, and then after that, that's when it's going to become beneficial and it's going to heal. So I'll just do this part for the 3 loops so you could actually see what happens. So you see here, you have all these zombies right now, and you're fighting them basically, essentially. So now we're slowly getting more HP because obviously they have souls. Now, if you saw over here, right before we finished, you would see that now this transformed from a ransacked village to Countland, which now it heals for a significant amount because of the combination of the vampire mansion with the Countland. So it upgrades the town. So this is a really good combination if you guys want to heal a little more for more sustain. The gist of the town obviously still remains the same, where you essentially get quests, and yeah, the enemies are more difficult, but you get better rewards out of it, even though they have more HP. Alright guys, so the next combination we are talking about is the Suburbs, which basically creates the town card. The Suburb card you get later on. I'm going to be doing a separate guide on how you get all these cards unlocked. These are for advanced combinations right now. But if you do the Suburbs in the form of a cross, it will eventually become a town. So I'm going to place the last one in the form of a town. And now you see that it created basically what's known as a town instead of the suburbs, where it says increases gained experience from killing enemies by 2. You can do the same desired effect by just putting along the river, but it definitely does this type of combination, which is very interesting when you do the combination of making it in the sign of a cross. So like just basically one in the north, east, west, and south direction, and then you eventually develop a town in the middle. So that was the next combination. Alright guys, the next tile combination that we are going to be discussing is the Burnt Forest. It doesn't matter in the order that you put it in. The only thing that matters is that that essentially it was in the range of what had happened. So if I put the card here, this will also get burned, which I would highly suggest, guys, do not use thickets because they do the same exact benefit of the 0.5 magic damage. So what I would try to do, and I'm trying to see if I could do it in a sense where, yeah, I could probably do it here. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to place this here just so this this one gets burned. But then I'm going to put the Storm Temple in the range, and you'll see like the area of effect, how it's diagonal. It's either going towards the town or it's going to this forest on the bottom. So you're going to see that bottom one get burned. And now it turned into a burned forest where you see 0.5 magic damage is applied to... you're not going to see it here until it becomes 1 full point. But basically by checking here, you see it says 0.5 magic damage on the right. And that's essentially the combination that you can do that. I highly suggest just using forest for that, and then because it's every 2 tiles, it'll give you 1 point damage. Putting a thicket there does not increase the damage by 1 or anything like that. It's pretty consistent. I hope they kind of patch it, because if this is giving you 2%, it should give you 1 damage versus 0.5. You know what I mean? I feel like there should be more of a benefit towards it. So that's the example of combination for burnt forest. So the next one we are going to be discussing is the Overgrown Field, where this requires the wheat field tile. And the way you can do this is actually 2 ways. You can either do it by deleting this village over here, and then it stands by itself to become an overgrown field, which I'll show you right now by destroying this with an oblivion card. You see that? Now it becomes an overgrown field. The other way that you can also do it is that if you plant 10 forest trees or thickets, eventually a green village, a wooden village is going to come out and spawn randomly, and it's known as a village ? You can also put the wheat field there and it becomes an overgrown field. So those are the 2 ways you could actually do that combination to get that to happen. So that, and then that would actually spawn a new enemy. So I'll actually show that. So you see these things over here, these field of blades. Those are the things that basically spawned from it. The next combination we're going to show here is Shipwreck, and what that is essentially a combination of the battlefield needing to be next to a river. If you see it right now, you see kind of like a flickering transformation. That's because it's saying if you place it there, it's going to become a shipwreck instead of being battlefield. So we're going to place that right now, and you see there it's now a shipwreck. So it basically let's read what it says. It says trade ships often falls to prey fishermen. Spawns a siren once per loop. Spawns a chest once per loop. No mimics. Enemies on adjacent tiles may become ghosts. So I'll actually go through a loop so you guys can see what it's like to fight one of these sirens and so on. Here we finally looped around. I just wanted to speed it up so you guys didn't have to go through the hassle of seeing this. But it did spawn, a mimic, and it did also spawn a siren, and you're going to be able to see what that looks like right now. These sirens are actually pretty difficult, guys. So it's one of those things where if you're not ready for it, you actually might die from it. Like, this is a perfect example. I'm kind of just showing you the talent combinations that you can do, but yeah, we're definitely not in a position to face these. These are very difficult. These are one of the enemies that I really don't like facing. The next one that we are going to be talking about is actually the flowered meadow, which is known as blooming meadow. The idea of this is as long as you put a meadow in next to some type of other tile that's structure, then or like a mountain or the forest or even this ancestral crypt or treasury, instead of it just being heals 2 HP at the start of day for the buff, it actually increases it to 3. So you'll see the flower, like here's what the regular one looks like. It looks like that. Here is what it looks like when you put it next to a structure. It turns into flowers. So now you see here it heals 3 HP at the start of the day versus this one doing 2. And you could do the same thing for the mountains. You could do the same thing for the flowers as well. So that is just something I wanted to kind of show you there, guys. I'm so sorry if you hear Sky in the background. She's playing with her toy. But yeah, that is essentially Blooming Meadow. It's a useful early game, but once you start unlocking Forest and River, you kind of basically don't use this anymore. But that's an advanced tile combination. The next advanced combination we are going to be talking about, guys, is Blood Path. And in order to make this happen, what you need to do is essentially have 2 battlefields together in the same area, and if you do, then you will get Blood Path. So we're gonna actually do that right now over here. So if you see, the tiles actually changed over here into like skeletons and blood, and it says spawns a blood clot every 4 days. So I'm gonna let this loop really quick so you guys can see what that looks like. I did it specific. Oh, it also gives the mimics as soon as the new day happens. It didn't say that in the definition, but I guess because it's a derivative of Battlefield, it makes sense that it did that. So I'm gonna actually do the upgrades for that. All right, guys, so here we are. We are back, and now we basically have these things spawned. I put it next to the campfire just in case to see how difficult they would be for you guys, but let's see. We're gonna have some really good assist here with the damage. And we get some amazing resources from it, so that is really awesome, guys, with that combination. There's some really good potential to actually just have Blood Path kind of in this vicinity. Some of the difficult ones, I like even Shipwreck, putting it next to the campfire would be really good potential just because you have that really good backup support to kind of really damage things much quicker. So, yeah. The next advanced tile combination we are going to be discussing is Mountain Peak, guys. So this is on the top right. You're gonna be using the rock and mountain tiles to make this happen. It has to be in a 3x3 format, aka any 9 tiles in a box shape just like this. It doesn't matter the order of the mountains and the rocks as long as you just do it in this shape, and then when you place the last one, it will transform and you'll actually get a bunch of resources. I'm not showing the resources here because it's gonna block a lot, but I mean, yeah, I'd rather just show the animation, to be honest, so you can see what it looks like. There. And it throws all that stuff in the bag, all those resources. So now what happens is we get plus 134 HP and we get plus 6 for everything, but the real important one is that every 2 days it spawns a harpy, which is a soul. So if you're using Ancestral Crypt, when you kill that harpy, you get 3 HP from it. So that's the other thing. It spawns an enemy that will come into the field randomly on whichever location, and then you would have to fight it. But yeah, that's essentially Mountain Peak. The next advanced tile combination is known as the Goblin Lookout, and the way this happens, guys, is if you're using the mountain rock tiles / cards, you have to use at least 10 in order to make a goblin camp spawn. So every 10, a new goblin camp will spawn in the map. So I'm just going to place one right here. The mountain actually gives more HP than the rock does. So I'm going to place it, and you're going to look on the map, and you're going to see something is going to spawn, which is the goblin camp. Now, with that spawn there, if you wanted to do the Goblin Lookout, which changes them to also do range, you will have to place a swamp right next to that area. So if you see here, it says Goblin Camp, spawns a goblin on adjacent tile once a day, appears for every 10 mountain / rock tiles. If I place the swamp next to it, it changes to now Goblin Lookout. Sadly, even swamps aren't enough to get rid of goblins. They can get used to anything. Adds a goblin archer to the battles on adjacent tiles. This can be very difficult to face because it's just the combination with the healing and it being a swamp. So we'll see how we do. Hopefully we do pretty good. But I do want to show you what it is like. this, but at least you can get an idea of how difficult this can be. So here we go. And goblins for necromancer in general are very dangerous, so you never really want to use mountains with this. One thing I definitely do want to voice when you're dealing with anything that deals with swamp, with the swamp tile, kind of like the goblin camp, I destroyed it because it's just such a pain in the butt, is that if you put a vampire mansion next to it, their healing will actually be devastating to them. So it's something to keep in mind. Yeah, you see when he's trying to heal and it's doing damage? Just something I wanted to voice out when it comes to like a really interesting combination. The next advanced tile combination is going to be known as empty treasury, where you need the treasury tile, but you have to stack things around it. And when you do, you collect a bunch of resources, and then you also, what is it called? You get the empty treasury, which basically spawns a gargoyle every couple of days. So let's see it happen. You're going to see the animation change right over here. So there it became darkened. So now it becomes empty treasury, a treasury without treasure, an empty shell, a sorry sight, especially for its stone guardians, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. Spawns a gargoyle every 3 days. So I'm going to try to show you what that goblin looks like, or what that gargoyle looks like after 3 days. So here is what the gargoyle is like after it spawns guys from the treasury. This is an example of fighting one. And there you have it. That's how you fight a gargoyle there. They're actually very cool to fight, especially with necromancer, because they're so slow and you'll spawn a tank by that point and then they'll hit that. So the next combination we're going to see, guys, is the reed combination. This is different from the Oasis, which we'll show next. But the reed is when you spawn a river next to a wasteland tile, basically a floor tile, it transforms from being just a normal river to actually doing something where it spawns a fishman every 3 days. So now I'm going to go through the days and speed it up so you guys can see what it's like when you face one. It's different from Siren with Shipwreck. Shipwreck is actually very difficult. If you did do a Shipwreck, I would probably suggest doing it similar how we did Bloodbath here, where we would put it by the campfire. But Reed will spawn fishmen. They're very easy to kill when you're dealing with this, so you're gonna see this right now. One thing I definitely do want to mention is that if you do have the river and you did spec into the into your town, you can actually create a bridge, which I could actually show you that right now. So if we did the bridge, it basically says does nothing, only needed to increase the length of the river. So now we could actually travel inside here and put the river to go across certain things. I kind of wanted to show this combination also with this, just because we were in this vicinity of doing this combination. And this is what the fishmen look like, guys. Very easy to kill, not like the Siren. The Siren's a little more difficult. Okay, guys, so the next combination I do want to talk about is the Oasis, and you can use this with a combination of either the dune or desert card, followed by it being part of a river. It doesn't work when it's the first tile of the river, but when it's a following river fall, you can do the combination. So what's going to happen is, instead of river doubling the effects of adjacent landscape tiles, it's going to change the status effect once it has a dune next to it. So check this out. So check this one right here. It's going to alter. So now this changed to Oasis, and it reduces the hero's attack speed by 0.5, and then all the other creatures on the field by -1%. Now this probably wouldn't be great for Necromancer, because obviously it would be slowing down all your creatures as well, but it would be good for, like, if you were doing it for the you know, the warrior or the rogue, where you are attacking really fast and you have a lot of speed because you were stacking a lot of thickets, and you're kind of over a really high percentage where your stamina is draining and then you have to wait to refill it. This will slow down the enemies significantly and slow you down a little bit, so it kind of counterbalances that the amount of thickets that you place. So you can basically debuff your enemies really strong, but then kind of lower down your speed a little bit, just so you know, you can kind of balance out that high speed that you're dealing with. So that's a good combination there if you wanted to do that, if you did have it with thickets and stuff. I don't use it a lot, but I could see that it does have its merit in that case. The next tile combination I want to talk about is Hungry Grove, and the way this combination works is you can either use it with a grove that is here, or you can place a forest or a thicket, and then you could put it right next to it, and then you can destroy whatever allowed you to put the placement. You see, obviously here I can't add it anywhere on the tile system unless it's like basically a forest that's near the roadside or a grove. So what I'm going to do for simplicity purposes is I'm just going to use this basically this thing right here, the forest that I placed, and it'll be next to the skeleton, so when the skeleton spawns you'll see what happens. So I'm going to now use an oblivion card to destroy this forest, and you're going to see the blood grove turn into a hungry grove. So now it turned into a hungry grove, which you could read it over here on the right, and it says a blood grove that has lost its connection with the forest, in constant agony because its irrational existence. Occasionally attacks the hero, 11 damage, devours enemies that have less than 20 HP left. So that's what Hungry Grove does. We're going to actually look through it so you can see what happens. So let's see what happens here. And then that's what the Hungry Grove essentially does. Similar to Blood Grove, but it can basically consume things under 20%. And it's a really good thing to use when you want to use it with the boss, because it actually does work. People have done strategies with that to do this combination. Okay, guys, the last tile combination I want to talk about is the Abandoned Bookery. So this happens when the bookery gets used up completely, where it basically allows you to get up to 20 cards exchanged. And once that happens, it changes from being a bookery to an abandoned bookery, where there's going to be a book that is going to be attacking you, and it puts shields on the enemies and all that good stuff. But if there is a vampire mansion or a temporal beacon, or one or the other, the vampire mansion will summon a vampire mage, and the temporal beacon will summon a mage. So when we do this last iteration, we are now gonna have an abandoned bookery. So now it changed to abandoned bookery, and it says your greed sets free ancient tombs, and now search for skilled sorcerers. Add tombs to battles on adjacent tiles. Oh, it's nowhere near. We're gonna need to add something here to fight. So give me one quick second while we do that. Okay, guys, we finally looped around. I wanted to speed this up really quick so you guys can see it. But as you can see, there is a vampire mansion here, also in the vicinity of the abandoned bookery, with the temporal beacon. So we are going to see two types of mages here, which is going to be really interesting. So check this out. So that was the vampire mage for the first one. Now, because these vampire mansions can't reach the temporal beacon, we should be able to see the regular mage here. There's the regular watcher mage. And that's pretty much it, guys. I definitely wanted to show you that so you guys could see what's going on. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, if this is your first time here and you're watching from YouTube, definitely be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you ever come to Twitch, definitely be sure to hit that follow button. Come join us on Discord. The link is below in the YouTube description. Also, last but not least, I want to say major shout outs to the sponsors. If you guys also wanted to financially support the stream, definitely be sure to check out that YouTube description below. There is a Patreon link. And if you can't support financially, don't worry guys, there's other ways you can actually show support. That's getting the word out, sharing the content, letting friends and loved ones know about this this channel. Tell them to come and hang out. Come join us on Discord. You will not regret it. It's the best community / family ever. It says it right there on the freaking board. Yo, thank you guys so much for hanging out. I love you guys so much, and I will catch you guys next time. Let me know in the comments below what you would like to see next, what you think about the video, and so on. I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.